Yo, what is going on, Sean? We are live right now, bro. This is live on Investor Thrive Live on Batch Leads YouTube channel. What's going on, bro?
What's going on? What's going on?
Dude, I'm excited to have you on here. So everybody, you might know who I am after I've been on Batch a couple times. My name's Nathan Payne, but I got a special guest on here. We got Sean Young. Is that
How's it going, everybody?
do you go by anything else like other than Sean Young? You got like a nickname or something cool? I mean, Sean Young is cool.
Yeah, Sean Young is cool, man. But at nighttime, it's Batman. No, just kidding.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. So I brought Sean. I like to bring on other wholesalers on this show just so you guys can get a little bit of a different taste of what's going on out there. Sean, you're from Atlanta. You want to kind of give us let everyone here on here know what you do, so and then
Sure.
we can get right into it.
Hey guys, Sean Young from Atlanta, Georgia. As Nathan stated, I've grown up all over the country. I come from a military background, so I had the fortunate opportunity to travel the country and the world. Got into real estate, hit the ground running. My first deal was a 72,000 sandwich lease option. Within 30 days, I had 11 more deals under contract, wholesale deals, and I haven't looked back since, guys. So here I am to add value to Nathan Payne's show. The
True.
man,
True.
Nathan, the man.
Hey man, I appreciate you coming on here because like I said, when I'm just talking the whole time, I think people want to hear some other stuff. They want to hear from somebody else. So I love having you on here. So let's kind of talk about VAs, man. I know you do like a
Yep.
VA business, right? Is that what you do?
100%. 100%. I own and operate a virtual assistant company based here in the United States, but my employees, which are the virtual assistants, are based in the Philippines. World class, professionally trained, all college educated. They all go through a three-step training process to ensure that they're a good fit for our company. So man, they're awesome. I stand by them. They have helped me make a ton of money, me and my clients.
Dang, bro, college educated? That's
College
ser-
educated,
that's
all have
serious,
4-year
bro.
degrees.
Well,
Absolutely.
so anyway, everyone's probably wondering as I watch this live. And by the way, if anyone has any questions, put them in there. That is what Investor Drive Live every Wednesday is for. It's not for me just to talk, bring Sean on us, have a conversation. It's for you guys to interact, ask questions, and see, what you can do, how we can help you improve. So, Sean, the reason why I asked you and wanted to bring you on here is VAs are super, super, super important to
Mhm.
your wholesaling business. I think it's important to any business, bro. Like, I think every
100%.
business should have a VA. So, how did you even get into working with VAs? Like, how did you even get to working with people in the Philippines? How's that even work?
Man, great question. Well, one of our mentors, which is Tom Crow, of course, he's been a mentor of mine for quite some time. He was talking about expanding and growing your business and adding on team members. And at first I was like, there's no one that's going to be able to talk on the phone like me. There's no one that's going to do this like me. I can't risk getting my deal to the finish line and then someone else dropping the ball. All of these, self-defeating, ridiculous kind of thoughts run through your brain. But I said, listen, I've got to expand things. I need more help. So I made my first hire and it was a disaster. So I'm not going to tell you I made my first hire and it was, peaches and cream. I actually went through maybe 4 or 5 virtual assistants with massive headaches before I decided to say I've got to come up with a new method. And that's why I created my own virtual assistant company, because I said, hey, you know what? I can't be the only one that's going through this stress, this strain. I can't be the only one that's having these troubles
Yeah,
getting a VA trained, managed, and monitored.
bro, I feel you. There are some struggles. When I first started, I was like, I'm gonna hire a whole cold calling team. And I tried to manage that, bro. And I just gave them the dialer. I said, hey, go dial on Mojo. I started listening to the recordings half the time. They'd say hello. The person would say hello. They wouldn't respond and they'd hang up. And this happened
Mhm,
for weeks until I actually like dove in. So there's a lot of things that are
mhm.
happening on the back end if you don't manage those VAs right, that you could just be wasting money, right?
100%, brother. And we have provisions in place to protect us or protect our clients against all that stuff. So every 10 minutes, screenshots, all calls are recorded and
Dang.
monitored. You have the ability to click into a call live. If you ever just want to listen to your VAs talking and they're on a call, you can go in live talking to their ear. Hey, Sally, say this. Hey, no, back up, say that. And the
Dang.
person on the other end can't hear it. So we have really nailed and dialed this down to ensure that our VAs are a different breed. It's not just your typical, hey, we'll make calls for you here and there. And they're dedicated to your team and your team's success solely, 100%.
Bro, I love VAs, man. I freaking love them. They're the
Me too.
best. Are they
You
not
need
the
them.
best, dude?
You need them. They Without them, my business would not thrive.
Dude, Investor Thrive Live. That's what we're on right now, man. And your
Yes, sir.
business is thriving because those VAs you got.
100%. I could not do it without them.
That's wild. Hey, I want to show people everyone something because I run a wholesaling company. I also run Investor Thrive, and I use VAs for everything. VAs are huge for everyone. And I know people right here says executive assistant right here. Thanks for watching us and add some comments. And she says in the ability to assist the VA during the call. She loves the screenshots every 10 minutes. But I want to show people how I set up my business to use virtual assistants, because I think this would be actually pretty useful for people to see. So let me show you guys my screen really quick, because I'm, you know, guys, you guys all know how I am. I'm very transparent. I want to show you guys how it's done. So I used to use Slack for all communication with my VAs, but I actually recently got Discord, and I have my Discord for the coaching setup, and then I have my Discord for my my wholesaling company, which I got my VAs in, and I have the Investor Thrive people, people chatting in here. So it's really cool. I talked to, Zishan's one of my leads managers. We got Jackie in here talking, Jamie. These are all my VAs, and we talk all the time. I ask them. They're very responsive. The VAs are no different, everybody, than, regular employees. I actually don't even treat them different. We have meetings every week. We have trainings every day. This is not a VA is not something you just hire if you do it yourself, whether you use your your company or you just hire your out. You don't just hire them and just say, hey, here's a task, and you never talk to them and you just hope they do it.
Exactly.
They're employees.
100%. Got to be engaged, guys. You have to be engaged. I see it. That's one of the #1 biggest factors as well that people, Nathan just hit it right on the nail on the head. If you are not engaged and don't set expectations and are not leading them, then where are you going? Where are they going?
100%, 100%. So kind of tell me a little bit more about the hiring process. That's really interesting that you make sure that they have college degrees.
Absolutely, guys. They go through a 3-step assessment, which includes English tests, English, like English level. We train them on cold calling. We ensure that they are familiar with basic tools that are in our industry. They all have to pass this test before they are even recommended to be hired to our employees. Once they are on board with our company, we don't just throw them at you. When you sign up for our service, we listen to you. We have what's called an assessment session where we ensure we know what you're doing in your business, what tools you're using, what are your goals, and then we match a virtual assistant based upon your requirements. So it's like a Match.com type of a system, so to speak.
Dang, that sounds pretty intense hiring process, bro.
It's very easy. It's very quick. You guys are on a quick call, a quick 15-minute assessment call. If it takes a little longer, of course, we know we're willing to go over with you, but it's very quick for us to assess what you need, what are your what are your needs, and we match those needs with the skill set of the virtual assistant.
I really like that. So let me ask you about accent, right? Because when I first started, I was really concerned about accent when they're calling. Tell me your thoughts on that. If you got a really high level VA who's really smart, can work hard, but their accent is bad, tell me how do you navigate that? And because I know there's a lot of people that are watching this, maybe want to hire VA, but they're worried about that.
Well, for our company, we understood that was a big challenge. So there's 2 things that we did. First of all, we have English coaching. We have accent coaching. Our VAs have actually accent coaching. So now my pool of VAs now, they sound like they're pretty much from like Southern California. They sound almost like me, like how I talk now. So
why don't you try New York accent, bro? Why didn't you teach them
what's
something
what's wrong with the New York, huh?
Yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be hilarious. Like they're talking to a Filipino that's got the New York accent,
Exactly. That would be funny. That would be funny. But guys, our country, I mean, we all deal with this every day. When we call AT&T or Verizon, it's usually someone that's overseas. And I know that was a hard concept to get, wrap our hands around at first as a country, maybe, but we've all gotten used to it because that's the norm. So just like Nathan's saying, this is no different. These are regular people. They're regular employees. They're now pretty much respected as such because we are all dealing with folks overseas on a regular basis anyway.
So are you telling me you don't think it's that big of a deal?
As far as being overseas?
No, like the accent. I know you have the accent
Oh
training,
yeah,
but
100%.
because we deal with so many people overseas, do you think it really, like, people just are used to it?
I think people are pretty much used to it. And our VAs, again, they sound amazing. So
Yeah.
on top of them sounding amazing, so the slight accent that they may have, again, it just sounds like anyone else here in America. Most people here in America may have an accent. It could be Southern, could be a Midwestern, could be a New York accent, as we stated earlier. So accents aren't really that big of a factor. And
I don't
I've
think
never
so.
seen that be a roadblock for us.
I don't think it's that big of a factor either because like let's say for example, you get a call from someone, they have an accent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, you might at first like be like, this is interesting, but you feel like that no matter who calls you. You're like, who is this? So you have that
Exactly.
reaction. But if the person that's talking to you has an accent and knows what they're talking about, I might even be more willing to listen because I'm like, okay, what is this? I'm a little interested. They know their stuff. They're talking, they got an accent, but let's kind of further see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's me. I don't know if that's everybody.
Yeah, they sound sharp. So like you say, it makes sense to tune in, whether that accent comes from, Paris or whether it comes from, the Far East. So it doesn't matter. An accent is an accent. But we definitely understand the importance of people wanting to have their business being represented in a particular fashion. So the fact that they are US based companies, the majority of our clients, we ensure that our VAs do have a great US accent.
Let me ask you this. Have you tried hiring virtual assistants throughout the world to see which ones are your favorite? Or have you just picked the Philippines and you're like, look, Philippines is great. Why even go to Egypt? Why even go to Pakistan, anywhere, India? Tell me about that.
Well, I did have an experience with Pakistan, and that was the only country outside of the Philippines where I hired a VA. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, that didn't work out for me as well because it wasn't because of the location. I think it was just because of how that operation operates and sends out VAs to folks. Like you say, I had to go through so many VAs. I would spend a week getting them trained. They would work for maybe a week and a half. They would call in sick one day, and then I never hear from them again. Could never reach them. Couldn't even. So it'd be, very headache times like that I was going through, and that was one of the times when I was in Pakistan that actually happened, where I hired the gentleman. He was very enthusiastic. He sounded great on the phone. Seemed like a go-getter, and I spent a lot of time with him a whole week straight. Next week he hit the phones. By the end of that week, he was saying, "Hey, I'm not feeling too well." On Monday he wasn't feeling well, and I didn't hear from him again.
Very interesting. Sorry, if you
Mm-hmm.
see me texting, it's because I'm trying to hit up my VA right now. I'm saying, hey,
Mm-hmm.
let's hop on this call. I want to interview her and bring her on and talk about um how important VAs are for
Mm-hmm.
like I guess even the work that we
Mm-hmm.
give from the States for virtual assistants. My
Mm-hmm.
VA top notch, dude. I'm sure just like yours,
Mm-hmm.
like family. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, they're like family. That's what I'm saying. Like my actual first hire for this company, she's still with me today, and she's my executive assistant. And
Yeah.
so she's been with me now for years and years. She's like my family, just like you say, it's family.
I love it. I love it. Well, for if we can get a message across to the people at Batch Leads that are watching this, that will watch on for
Mm-hmm.
future in the future if they're not watching live, like what should they when should someone get a virtual assistant? Should it be immediately, in your opinion? Should it be maybe after they test the waters a little bit if they want to try this? Like, give me your opinion.
Sure. My opinion is that you've got to get your feet wet. You've got to jump into the pool, take some strokes before you can give anyone else instruction on their strokes. And you don't have to be an expert at it, but you definitely have to put some reps in so that you can have respect for what's happening, and so that you can have an understanding. Because again, you're leading them. If you have no clue and no understanding, and you've solely thrown money at a situation, which is what people use virtual assistants for
Right.
sometimes, like, hey, I'm just going to throw money at this and that VA is going to handle it all. No, you've got to still train them. Of course, our company is a little unique, but we still tell our clients, you still have to manage your virtual assistant. You still have to be engaged with your virtual assistant.
100%, 100%. Yeah. So for me, I believe that, yeah, you 100%, you got to get your feet wet. You got to kind of know what
Mm-hmm.
you're going to ask them to do. Cause if you just hire a virtual assistant and say, hey, call this list, you don't know, especially if you're not
Mm-hmm.
using a company like yours, a virtual
Mm-hmm.
assistant company. If you're just doing it yourself, you don't know if they're doing something right, if they're doing something wrong, because you haven't tried it. So
Mm-hmm.
I believe in order for it to be really, and that's pretty much with any job role, you can't really just hire
Mm-hmm.
any job role out and be like, hey, take over. I know because I've tried to do this my whole career. I've been like, I don't know what to do. I'm hiring you to do it. And half the
Mm-hmm.
time I have to teach them what to do. Right. And then I'm like,
Yeah,
shoot.
you still got to figure it out anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So Actually, I'm sending a link right now to Jackie, who's my executive assistant, and she's been in the. She's gonna hop on here, and we're gonna ask her some questions. Not put her on the spot, make her feel like anything weird, but you know, they're not. She's not as like us, where we just hop on the call and we're just ripping it. But she's awesome. So let me try and get her on here. In the meantime, kind of tell people what your wholesaling operation looks like, just so they can kind of see when things get a little bit bigger, when you get further down the road, what they can look forward to.
Yeah, guys. The way that things look now is we've got 3 cold callers, we've got an acquisitions manager, we've got a dispositions manager, we've got a transaction coordinator, and of course my executive assistant. That's just with the real estate side of the business. On the VA side of the business, we've got onboarding managers. I have 2 onboarding managers and 2 trainers.
Dang, I like it. Okay. And just so people know, like, my model's a little bit different, just because I've since the market shift happened, I had a big company that was rolling, and then
Same with us. We did go down as
you
well.
scale
Trust
down.
me.
Perfect.
Yeah, we
So
scale down.
the model that I moved to, and I call it the painless wholesale method, if you see this. But it's basically, I just scour JV deals that are online. I look at like listings. I look at for sale by owners, just pretty much anything that's already for sale. And I try to connect those deals to buyers that I have at the moment. So my overhead is really nothing other than like a virtual assistant that's looking for me at the moment. And I do deals pretty much by looking for deals that meet the criteria of my buyers, and I tie them up. So that's kind of the majority of the deals I do. And it works really well because, as you know, overhead can be kind of high in a
100%.
wholesaling business. So both businesses work, but at the moment, that's what I do. So there's many ways to skin a cat, many ways to do this business, but
No, Nathan, your method is awesome, brother. The painless wholesale method, guys, that's a phenomenal approach to this business, especially in today's market, in today's day and age, where the economy is a little tight. Some families might be in predicaments where you can't, hire a full team like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But using this method, you're able to connect the dots a lot easier. Like Nathan's saying, he's finding out what are his buyers wanting. He's going out there and finding them, and he's connecting dots with little to no overhead as far as marketing is concerned. And that can be the biggest killer for a business, so to speak. A new business that's not generating revenue is spending marketing dollars without a return on that investment.
Exactly. And the coolest thing about this, man, is having a virtual assistant is key to my model. If you can't, if you have a 9-to-5 job, you really can't all day look at Facebook groups, look on Investor Lift, look at like different sites where I teach people how to go find these deals. You can't really do that very effectively and efficiently. But if you have a virtual assistant that you train, where he's always looking, he's getting emails from wholesalers in your market, and he's just saying, okay, this meets our criteria. Let's call our guy and see what he'd pay. A virtual assistant, in my opinion, and one closer is pretty much all you need in this model for you to do 1 to 2. Now, I'm not going to say you guys can do 10 to 15 deals a month. Usually to do that kind of volume, you need a team. But if you want to, if you're okay with doing 1 to 2 to 3 deals a month, keeping most of that keeping the overhead low and keeping most profit, it's a good model. So anyway,
100%.
I love that
I
it works.
love that model, man. I love that model. I love that model.
Yeah, it's a chill model, bro. I'll tell you, because we've run the big companies, and it works too. But I'm taking it a little easy now. So hey, we got Jackie on here. Jackie, I'm bringing you on. Jackie, what's going on?
Hey, boss.
How you doing? Hey, Jackie. So have you ever met Sean?
I believe he's part of your podcast in the past. So
That's
yeah.
right.
Hey, Jackie. Hey,
So
Jackie.
the reason why I brought you on, Jackie, is Sean. I brought Sean on to the batch call this week, and Sean owns a virtual assistant company. And we're just talking about how important virtual assistants are to our business. And he was telling me that he's got an executive assistant that pretty much helps him run the whole thing. How long have you had your executive assistant for, Sean?
Wow, she's been with me now for 4.5, close to 5 years now.
Dang.
I literally
Wow.
feel like I've raised her. Like we're family, indeed.
And Jackie, how long have you been with me? Has it been over a year now?
Yeah,
Almost
over
a
a year now, boss.
So again, I just wanted people to hear you. I know you're a little camera shy, so we don't have to turn on the camera for you. But everybody that's watching, I want you to know how important virtual assistants are to helping you build your business, whether it's a wholesaling business or it's a coaching business, any business. And Jackie, I wanted to have you on here just to kind of ask you, of your experience of being a virtual assistant, did you immediately like work as a virtual assistant, or did you have other jobs until you jumped into the real estate VA world?
Well, I started working in the BPO industry back in 2016.
Mhm.
That's my start off. So my last work was with JP Morgan Chase and Company
Okay.
on their retail service. So mainly I was, doing really like how a bank teller do it, but it's just
Mhm.
over the phone.
So
But
did,
the commute would usually take me like 2 hours just to get to the office.
oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Did you
It's
ride
it's
your
a good it's a good paying job, but the 2 hours commute, I mean,
Mhm.
I need to take a bus
Oh
and all
gosh.
that
Yeah, and
trouble. But
that takes time and money to get out there too.
yeah, so when then I finally decided to take this route of working as a virtual assistant, working from home.
Mhm.
My first
Mhm.
job was with John Martinez. I was a seller sniper doing
The
cold calling.
sniper. Remember that? I know you remember that, Sean. Do you
Indeed,
remember the snipers
indeed.
with John Martinez?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was the first few batches who's doing cold calling with John Martinez.
Mhm.
So it was a pretty good experience doing that. I've learned how to actually talk to sellers, and I think that really helped me build my confidence over the phone.
Mhm. I love it.
And then I actually looked for a greener pasture. Then I applied for a better position. Yeah, eventually got in as a coach, then as a trainer, eventually a training manager for a real estate agency.
On fire. She's on fire.
Indeed,
Jackie,
indeed.
are you glad that you decided to kind of make that transition from working where you'd have to go into the office somewhere in the Philippines and being a virtual assistant?
Absolutely, Nathan. Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
that's the biggest blessing that
I love it.
came to me and my family. It's, um, it's supporting my family's needs. So yes, absolutely, it's a blessing.
I love it. I love it. And you've helped me a ton. You know what we've done over at Investor Thrive in our wholesaling company. We've done a lot. And we've learned a lot. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on, I would say that every now and then you really have to skill and try to learn new things if you want to go this route. Because
Yeah.
initially, I mean, my background is just really how to train people on how to do cold calling,
Mhm.
real estate cold calling. I don't, to be honest, I don't have, any idea how to uh create a website, a landing page, a workflow, and automation, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Now, with Nathan's trust, I was
We did
able
it.
to actually expand my skill and learn
Mhm.
a lot more new things that I'm not initially comfortable with. But I
Mhm.
mean, you really have to do it outside of the box, of course.
I love it. Thank you, Jackie. And
Indeed, 100%. I love that, man.
yeah, so I want everyone to know that like you don't have to just box in your virtual assistants, right? Like if you have a task, if you teach them, obviously they can learn just anything like we can, right? So yeah, it's been super fun. What I've used Jackie with as my executive assistant is instead of just saying, "Hey, call people," I've said, "Hey, these are things we need to accomplish in our business," and we've been able to get it done. So for any and Jackie, this is again, we do the batch call every Wednesday. So this is mainly for maybe people who don't have virtual assistants or do. We're kind of showing them, how important it is and what they can do to,
Mhm.
grow their businesses.
Well, thank you. I mean, if you're struggling right now with your business, getting a virtual assistant is the best option to go.
Hands down, hands down,
Hands down. Well, Jackie,
hands
let me
down.
ask you this: for any VAs that are watching this, maybe they're in the Philippines or other countries, how do you even get your start as a virtual assistant? How does that even work?
Well, there's a lot of option, really.
Mhm.
Just like how we do it with, with the painless wholesaling approach. You
That's
go
right.
to a Facebook community. You
Mhm.
either you have Upwork, you have online, like different platforms to where you can find your client,
Okay.
or you can actually search for different agencies. I believe you mentioned that Sean owns one.
Hmm.
Yes.
So yeah, that's also an option. I mean, obviously with, applying for a position in an agency, they will actually get you a client. I mean, they'll help you get your first client, and you can start from there.
I love it. Sounds like, so it sounds like if you want a job as a VA, it sounds like there's a lot of options to go find a job. It's not like I don't want to say it's difficult to find a job, but it sounds like there's options to be able to do it if you want to.
Absolutely. And I would say that um looking for a job in the Philippines, I mean anywhere else, you really have to sort of prepare yourself physically, right? If you want an office setup where you have to sort of prepare yourself physically and mentally. And
Yeah,
I think it's more dragging compared to doing an interview like online.
yeah, I hear
So
you.
I really, I mean, this work from home, I really see it as a blessing because um it's just really convenient.
Hmm.
And yeah, initially there's I mean, everything I would say, there's not an easy route, right?
Of course.
But
Of course.
you have to really take action and just do it. Just
Mhm.
look for a client and probably apply for a position in an agency. Those are your best options.
I'm curious, is working during the nighttime, is it like super, super, super difficult? I would imagine it's very hard, but is it something you just get accustomed to? Because I know you work during our hours.
I just get used to it, boss. I mean, here in the Philippines, if you are working in a call center or BPO industry, mostly
Mhm.
of the clients that we serve in an office-based setup
Mm.
usually are in the US time zone, so I kind of just get used to it.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's not the fact that you work with us. It's pretty much most industries that are job that work the hours. They have to do that anyway. So whether you work with us
Hmm.
or you go work another job at a corporate that works U.S. hours. Okay, I didn't think of that. That does make
Hmm.
sense though. So they're working a lot of the U.S. hours over there anyway.
Mhm.
Hmm. That's right, boss.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Well, yeah, Jackie, again, I appreciate you coming on here. It means a lot to me that you're willing to work hard and help me run the company. I know Sean's got his executive assistant, so I just wanted to show everybody here that no different to work with someone in a different country. It's all the same. We all have the same goals. We want to provide for our family and our friends. I know that's family is really important to you, Jackie. So that's our goal is to continue to improve and help everybody achieve their goals.
Thank you, boss. Well, I appreciate you inviting me. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank
anytime.
you, Jackie.
I know the people love you over here at Batch Lead, so we might have you back, Jackie. Who knows?
Wow. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sean. It's
Yeah.
nice to finally meet
Absolutely.
you.
All right.
Thank
We'll
you. Nice to meet you.
catch you later, Jackie.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Yep. Yeah, man. So I thought it was important to bring her on here just so people could see, like, hey, it don't matter wherever they're at in the world.
Indeed.
They have the same goals. They have the same,
Mhm.
they want the same things just like we do, Sean, just like anybody else that is
100%.
building a wholesaling company, the employees. And that's the important thing about building a company is you got to have a vision for everybody
Mhm.
that joins. So they're all working towards accomplishing something.
100%, man. I really like that, man. Like you brought Jackie on, and you can tell through her enthusiasm, her professionalism, that
Mhm.
she is just like most folks that are in that space. They're it's in the culture. They want to go give. They're go givers.
That's
They want
true.
to go above and beyond. So these are cultural differences, definitely between the United States and the Philippines. And they're good. There's some of these are good cultural differences because we want folks who are wanting to be part of the team, who are wanting to work with us and go above and beyond. And I can tell in Jackie's voice that she's definitely dedicated to you. So guys, you heard it firsthand. This and she said it. How do you want to grow? What's the best thing to do? Get a virtual assistant.
That's 100% right. Well, hey, the what originally I wanted to talk about today, I know we're talking about VAs, which is super
Mhm.
important, but I wanted to talk about a deal that I recently just did. It just
Let's do
closed
it.
yesterday, and it was
Nice.
crazy. It was crazy. It was a crazy deal. So I'll kind of give you the story, but before I dive into it, I want to ask you. Obviously, I'm assuming you've worked with deals that are going into foreclosure, right?
Yes.
Those get kind of wild. Do you personally have a story or a situation that you want to
I
share
don't
about?
I don't have a crazy foreclosure story because honestly, that's not my cup of tea. That's not my bread and butter. Foreclosures or pre-foreclosures, excuse me.
Pre-foreclosure, yeah.
But I'll definitely work them. You know, if they come across we're going to work them for sure. But we don't go after those because they are peculiar. They can be
They're a
a
headache,
little
bro.
tricky. Yeah, as I'm trying to not deter people from going after pre-foreclosures, but yes, they can be a headache. And you got to know what you're doing 100% because this is people's lives and livelihoods right here on the line right now.
You got it. And that's exactly right. So if you're going to go for pre-foreclosures, just know there are going to be things that you have to handle, like catching the loan up, making sure they don't owe more than what what you can buy the house for. If you buy it on terms, because a lot of people, they talk, oh, terms, like that's like the buzzword now. You can't buy something on terms if you got to catch up their loan and it's a ton of money and the house sucks and it doesn't really work, because a lot of people think they can just assume the mortgage, right? Well, if that mortgage is $40,000-$50,000 behind, you got to catch that thing up, maybe even bring them more money down depending on how the deal works if they want it. So,
and you got to pay attorney fees once that process starts, guys. It's not
right.
just the catching up the the mortgage. It's paying the fees now because now they've started the foreclosure process. So it can be tricky, and you got to make sure that you're prepared to do that, or you have the funding to do that, because again, you don't want to say that you can do something that you can't do.
Right, exactly. So this is the situation that I'll tell you the story, and let me know if you have any questions. So I work with Jerry Norton. I go on some of the calls that he has and for his coaching. And there was a student that went on there, and she was talking about a deal that she had in Richmond, Virginia, right? And she's like, "Hey, I have this house under contract." She talked about the numbers, and she's like, "I can't find a buyer, but I think I'm probably gonna have to cancel it." So as I heard her, I was like, "Nah, this is a good deal. Don't cancel it." So I actually talked to her on that call. I was like, hey, don't cancel this. Give me a call, and I think we can get this thing done. So she calls me, and we talk about the deal. The house is worth about like 280, 240, and she's got it under contract at like 150 or something like that, right? So you can tell that there's a decent spread depending on how it's $120,000 spread. Now it really depends is in that area, do people want that house, right? I don't know this area in this part of Richmond. And another thing is, how far is it behind and how bad is it? How bad is the shape, right? So when you start determining your numbers, so we find out, I run the numbers and we find out that it's actually, it's in bad shape, but it's a good deal. There's a lot of hot investor activity out there. So I reached out to one of my mentorship students, Joe, and I said, hey, Joe, help me find a buyer for this. So I told him exactly how to dispo the property. He started calling real estate agents. He started using batch, because you can use batch leads to look up agents who have represented cash buyers in the area. So he started calling, and he found an agent that had a buyer that would be interested in the property. We showed the property, and we locked it up. It was ready to go. We agreed. We renegotiated with the seller, and we said, hey, we're going to catch up everything that you owe. And so you basically get to walk away and there's no pre-foreclosure. Like nothing else is on your record. So the guy was cool with it because he wasn't really going to make any money anyway. And so we not cut it up, but we agreed, assigned it to the guy, the buyer, for $13,000. Right. And not a giant deal, but it was better than canceling it. Right.
100%.
So what happened was, this was like in December. Right. So everything was ready to go. The buyer was ready to close. Guess what happens? Seller ghosts us, right? Ghosts us. And why does the seller ghost us? Well, he's losing the house anyway, right? And he's not getting any money from what we agreed. So he probably thought, well, why don't I just stay in this thing until they take it from me? Because I'm not getting any money anyway. So this guy ghosts us for like two, well, we're in March right now. So he ghosts us for like 2 months, 3 months. And the buyer really wanted that freaking house, bro. So he like went, we assigned it to him. So he went and got an attorney. He was like, hey, he served the guy. He's like, hey, we agreed to buy this house. So the buyer at that point, because we assigned our agreement, took over, bro. Like he did the
so
thing.
They totally took it over.
Took it over. So he pursued it, and he was trying to get a hold of the guy. Eventually, the person I was working with that had the house under contract got a hold of the seller. Was like, look, let's figure this out. We don't want to just have you lose this house. You're never gonna be able to get a house again. So the buyer was able to talk to the seller, negotiate $5,000 that we didn't have to come out of our assignment or anything. It's just an additional 5,000 just to come to the closing table, right?
Got it.
So
Got it.
$5,000, caught up everything. The buyer took care of everything, got caught up, bought it cash, and then we got our assignment fee. Because it took a little bit longer, our assignment fee did drop from 13 to 10. But it's I'm just letting everybody know this is the reality. Sometimes it's not always you talk to a seller and then a week later it closes, or 2 weeks. Sometimes stuff happens. You got to be ready to pivot.
100%. So that, let me ask you, that 5,000 that you guys put in, did that come from your fee? Did you take that out of your potential fee?
No. So when we were at 13,000 and we got to 10,000, it's just because as he didn't move out when he was supposed to, the fees of the house started to come up a little bit. So
Understood.
we just took a little bit less. And the 5,000 was what the buyer, he was just willing to say, hey, here's an additional 5, seller.
Gotcha.
Just freaking come to the closing table.
Gotcha. Get out of here. Let me get this property. Got it.
Exactly.
Got
and
it.
It closed yesterday. And it's exciting because that was the girl I was working with, Jacqueline's first deal, and Joe, his first deal that he disposed. So, I want everyone to know that JVing, working with people, is super important. I know you've probably done a ton of JV deals, right?
Indeed.
Yeah. And
it's super important. It's highly important, guys. It's huge. Don't overlook that. What Nathan is saying right now, it's huge. You have to have that be a part of your business. JVing. If there's something that you do well or that you have access to that someone else doesn't, leverage that. Partner up.
100%. So everybody, if you struggle with something, don't be afraid to reach out to someone in your community, wherever you're at, whether it's me, with what we do. Sean, I know Sean, if you hit up Sean and you got a deal, he'll talk to you. We want to help you out because it's a win-win scenario. Like, we help you get it across the finish line. JV, you work with it. But it was interesting, man. It's just, I think a lot of people get into this business and they think it's lock up a property, find a buyer, which is not what I teach. I say know who your buyers are, then find the deal. But a lot of people lock up a deal, try to find a buyer, then they think it's just title, paperwork, and then it's done. That's not how it always works, unfortunately.
100%. That's why I love your method so much, man, because especially in today's market, you've got to service your buyers. You've got to service your buyers because you've got to know what they're buying, who's able to buy, who's able to execute. All those things are very important in today's market. This is not 2 years ago. This is not 3. This is today, guys. So it's a different ball game.
100%, because we were all doing nationwide over the last 2 years, and yes, if you had a deal, it was gone. Especially if it was in a hedge fund area, right? It was like
100%.
So the way that the market has shifted right now, it's like you do have to be working with your buyers, know what they want, or you could just be spinning your wheels. And I even think the strategy I have is perfect for beginners because it is difficult to know what people will buy at like, even when you first start, you're like, I don't know. I remember my first year when I started wholesaling, I talked to like a grandma for like a whole year. I was following up with her. She'd call me. We would just chat. I didn't know what I was doing. Eventually, when it came down to like negotiate with her, it wasn't a deal. Like, she wanted way too much, and the property, like, investors didn't really want it. It was kind of a funky, farmy place. I'm sure maybe someone would have wanted if it got it low enough, but she was unrealistic, and I just kept going and going. Don't waste your time, everybody. That's all.
Don't spin your wheels, for sure. Maybe definitely follow up, but don't put too much time in it. Go after some more deals. I absolutely 100%. Nathan, let me ask you this, brother. You mentioned earlier that you guys go after your cash buyers. What are some methods that you would recommend for everyone that's listening right now to get cash buyers, since that's your method? Start with cash buyers.
Great question. So I think the most efficient and effective way to do it is title companies, because if you get tight with a title company or call a title company, they know who's closing, right? They know who's actually doing the work. So what I do is I reach out to the title lady that I work with here in Utah. I say, hey, who's buying right now? And who's asking you? Because I know a lot of guys are tight with the title too. If they're doing deals like flippers, they're probably like, hey, where are some deals? So that's the first thing that I like to do to find, like, and that's how I've actually found a lot of my buyers. I had a deal that I had to sell on the MLS. It was listed, and my title lady gave me the buyer just like that. It was really easy. I was like, hey, you know anybody here that's buying in American Fork or Ogden? She's like, Scott is. I hit him up. So that's one way. I got hundreds. You want to know some more?
Yeah, give us a couple, man. Give him a couple.
Bro, I'll give you a couple. All right. So let's see.
he said you said it. You said
You asked for it, brother.
You asked for it, man.
So
there we go.
I don't know if you've seen this, man, but this is kind of how I lay out my process. I have a MindMeister is pretty dope. It's like a little mind map thing. So step 3 of what I teach people is how to find cash buyers. So first you start with the end in mind. I kind of tell people what to say to buyers. The best way to build rapport, in my opinion, with a new buyer, if you don't do it through the way of calling a title, lady a title, I usually look up a property that they flipped, and then I ask them questions about the deal and that they did, and if they'd be interested in more in that area. So, because if I were to call a buyer right now, Sean, and just be like, "Hey, what's up? Are you buying? I might be able to find some. I'm a noob." That guy might be like, not annoyed, right? He might be like, dude, I'll buy something if you find something. Now don't call me unless you got something.
Yeah, unless you got something. Yeah.
But if I call him and I say, hey, I'm looking at this property that it looks like you flipped. I'm looking at it on batch, and looks like you did a really good job. I'm curious, are you looking for more like that in the area? That already, you already have a great conversation to start off with by referencing.
Shows that you're a professional. It shows that you've done your background. You're not just throwing something out there at them.
Exactly. Because, Sean, me and you have both got that question. What are you buying? And you almost don't even want to have that conversation if someone's just like, are you buying? Because it's
exactly.
Because you never know if it'll pan out.
Exactly.
You don't know if it's a waste of your time. So anyway, number 1, I would say just reference properties. If you didn't go through the title company route, I would say reference properties that they flipped. Sean, another thing I do is after you talk to them, I always want people to give them something. So you want to give them your contact info, and you want to give them your cash buyer form. So what I show people is I say, hey, go create a cash buyer form, super easy on Google. Everybody that has a drive can go create a cash buyer box form. You just put the questions you'd want them to ask after you get on the call. As soon as they fill out this form, it goes to your drive, and you get a spreadsheet with all their info. So like if people are watching this and they want to go through that process, it's, call some buyers, which I'm going to show you after what to say and what to give them the form. And anyway, these are this is the top ways that I find them. So number 1, I like going to RIAs. Sean, do you like going to RIAs, like a real estate meetups?
Yeah, I do. Since COVID kind of hit us, I haven't been back into the RIAs as heavy as I used to be, but absolutely, they're a great spot, great place for networking, 100%.
Great source, right? So that's what I recommend. You can find them on meetup.com. You can find them on YouTube. Not YouTube. That's my YouTube video about how to find them. You can find them on Facebook groups. They're everywhere, and those people that go there for sure, if they're going to take their time to go to a meetup, they're
absolutely,
they want to get some deals. Next thing, like I kind of told you about, Sean, is finding where the buyers are on Batch or any other platforms and calling them, referring to the deal that they did. I like working with real estate agents too. I don't always have to go find the owner of the LLC. I can just go to the agent that represented the buyer and just say, hey, can you connect me with your buyer? I'll pay you a commission. I'm totally cool to do that, so I don't have to find their buyer. I like to, in areas that I don't really know very well, I like to use New Western or Net Worth Realty. Have you had experience with those, Sean?
Yeah, I've used New Western.
Yeah, and they're decent. I think it's a good hold or good person to use if you don't have any experience in the area, because these are basically just wholesalers that have licenses in specific areas, so they'll dispo your deal, but they'll also give you information. Like I've called a couple when I was doing this challenge, the 30-day challenge, and a lot of them were were really helpful with like what criteria buyers were buying. And then I kind of told you guys talking to investor friendly title companies. Those are kind of these are the top ones. If you're going to just pick 3 or 4, that's what I would do. Now, Sean, I go above and beyond. So I actually listed every way that I can think of to find buyers, whether that's calling top agents in the area on realtor.com, building a buyer's list, realestatenetwork.com, checking the MLS. You can go to local foreclosure auctions, talk to the guys that are there that have cash, post your deals on myhousedeals.com, Craigslist. If you see a dumpster in front of a house, go talk to the person that's flipping the house. They're probably the flipper. They know who the flipper is. bandit signs that have, you know, fake homes that you've seen those, right?
100%, 100%. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Just give us a call.
Yeah.
Oh, that we just sold it. It just got put under contract yesterday.
Yeah.
You just missed it.
just missed it. But what are you know, what's your contact info? What are you looking for? It happens all the time. Those are just wholesalers that have those. No one's trying to sell their house on the corner.
Indeed.
on a vanity sign.
Exactly.
Another good one, man, is asking hard money lenders, because the hard money lenders want obviously to get more their loans out, so they'll give you people that probably are looking for, you know, properties to buy. Online investment groups, and then we already kind of talked about the associations. Landlord buyers are a little bit different, so you can find them on these type of ways. I could talk about it for hours and teach people how to do this for hours, but really there's just a couple different types of buyers. There's flippers, then you got landlord, buy and hold guys, realtors, I call them buyers because they have buyer connections, wholesalers, JV, and then we got the hedge funds that, you know, have kind of dropped off, but there are some still that are still active.
Nice.
So yeah, man, that's kind of in a nutshell how to find buyers,
man.
bro.
That is nice, brother. So I hope you guys were all taking notes. I'm not sure if Nathan, records these, but man, he just gave you guys a great start. He just gave you a great starting point.
That's it. And this is the thing. Like when I first started, bro, I was making offers, and I didn't know if I was too high, if I was too low. I had no idea. So when I got a contract, I was like really anxious. I was like, I don't freaking know. I guess I got to find a buyer. And yeah, I just think that's like the wrong way to go about it when you're brand new, because you just don't know.
How many buyers are you suggesting someone has before they start going out looking for inventory?
I'd say like 5 to 10 max. You don't really need, you could even do it with like 1 or 2 if you know they're legit. And how you know they're legit is if they've done deals, right? That's why batch is so important, because you can look and see if they've done a deal. Like that's why you would call them, or the title company gives you the verification that they're legit, or the hard money lender. But you got to be careful that you're not just posting on Facebook and saying, hey, who are some legit buyers? And then you got some other wholesaler that's never bought a property, doesn't know what he's doing, telling you to go look for deals for him. So you got to verify. But does that answer your question? Like 5 to 10.
Great, Grant. Yeah, that's great. I think that's a great starting point as well. That makes a lot of sense. Like you say, you're not, because one thing that you don't want to do is become an employee to your cash buyers as well. Exactly. So by having multiple cash buyers, it prevents that from happening. So Nathan is giving you guys gold.
I agree, brother. Because if I go find a deal specifically for a buyer that meets this criteria and I bring it to him and he lowballs me and I'm like, nah, I know this is a good deal, I'll tell him like, hey, you know, I appreciate a relationship, but I know I can get more and I need to, because I need to pay for, you know, my business. I need to make money.
Absolutely.
And if you're cool with those guys, they're not going to be upset at you. They're going to either come up or they're going to say, okay, well, if you can't find anyone, I'll be here. And that's kind of how I navigate that.
Indeed. Very smart. Very smart.
That's right. So Sean, let me ask you this. So after you find the buyers, I'm curious, what do you think is one of the best or a good marketing strategy for new people to go after once they have kind of understand what they're looking for?
Like what's an outreach method?
Yeah, because once you find the buyer, like I say, now it's time to start finding those opportunities, right? And there's a lot of different ways. Me and you both know there's tons of ways to find deals.
Yeah, well, when you go out looking for your deals, first of all, you gotta choose your market. You gotta choose areas in the market where activity is happening. Why is that so important? Because you need comps. If you get a great deal that you think is a great deal, but there's nothing to comp it with, there's no comparable sales, then there's no way to know if that's a great deal or not. And your buyers are going to look at the same things. They're going to look and need the similar type of comps to justify their expenses. So marketing, knowing exactly where to do business is going to be the next step, in my opinion. Getting those cash buyers and then picking your market.
100%. So once you pick that market, I know you have your VAs that help you a lot in the business. What would you recommend? Just I know there's no perfect answer when it comes to marketing because there's so many different ways to do it. But what would you recommend, newer investors do to start getting deals for their buyers?
Sure, guys. You're going to want to pull some lists. You're going to want to pull, like Nathan is mentioning, batch leads is a great place to pull lists. There's a lot of great filters that you can utilize to pull specific lists. but pulling those lists is going to be the first step. Getting a good size list, skip tracing that list, which means getting the phone numbers, getting the contact information for those sellers, getting all that, and then putting that into either a dialer system, such as Call Tools or a Mojo, which is a multi-line dialer system, or even a batch dialer as well, so that those leads can be reached out to. I also would recommend texting. We do ringless voicemail, cold calling, texting, and we do very limited outgoing mail. It's very specific to the list that we do the outgoing mail to, but those are the marketing methods that we utilize simultaneously.
I love that, man. So yeah, I found the same thing with mail. Like if you just blast, in my opinion, if you just blast out mail and it's not targeted, it's very,
Yeah.
very expensive. And
Very expensive, man.
Yeah.
You got to keep repeating it so much before you get a return that it's that's not a method we utilize anymore. That
Yeah.
was back in the day.
Back in the day, for sure. It worked better back in the day. I feel like,
Yeah.
and it might come back. Who knows? Like
Yeah,
after
indeed.
people are getting like hit up with phone calls and texts, maybe a nice little letter might make them be like, you know, who knows?
Indeed. Who knows?
That's the thing that's interesting about marketing, bro. It's always changing, right?
Always changing. You can never, if you are rigid and you feel like, man, this is my thing. I'm doing it. I'm not changing. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fall behind because the industry and the market and our economy, all these things have an impact on how you have to do business. You have to be aware of what's going on. You have to make those quick pivots, or you will quickly start to sink.
Dang. So you say you're cold calling right now. Is that right? You have 3 cold callers?
Yep. We've got 3 cold callers and acquisitions, and a dispositions and a transaction coordinator.
And are you doing nationwide as well? Or are you just focusing on Atlanta?
We've got Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, and Ohio. Those are our main markets, but I have students that are all over the country. So just by default, we're doing business all over the place. We're doing deals and helping out with deals and involving ourselves with deals all over.
I love it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was talking to one of my another wholesale. Well, he's not really a wholesaler. He's a flipper that he owns a mortgage company that refinances people. So when rates go really high, it's really hard to refinance people. So once they go high, he goes into buying properties and wholesaling and fix and flip. And then when the rates go low, he goes back to his mortgage company and crushes it. So it's kind of a cool model. So I was talking, it's sweet. So I was talking to him yesterday, and what he is doing is he's just calling and knocking. That's all he's doing. He's hired, I think 3, you could call them leads managers or whatever, and they just call and they knock. Have you ever done the knocking style?
A door knocking, like actual knocking? No, we've never done the door knocking method.
Bro, he says he's crushing it with the door knocking, like, because he'll actually send people to the pre-foreclosures to knock on the door. He'll actually, he'll have them farm areas and set up appointments for him. And then once they talk to anyone that's interested, he'll go to the appointment and close it. So I thought it was a pretty interesting model.
That is interesting. That's very interesting. I'm very sure it could be highly effective for 100%. I do know that anything where you can be physically present, it's going to have power over the telephone or anything virtual, regardless of what people may think. If I'm able to get in front of somebody, I don't care how good you are on the telephone, it's going to be hard to beat, to pick that, for that seller to pick you over me. I'm going to do everything the developer. I'm looking at pictures I'm rubbing dog, cats. I'm everything that I can to develop rapport. And you're not going to have that ability to do that over the phone.
Bro, that's wild. Rubbing dogs and cats. You doing whatever it takes, bro.
Oh man, you like the Dodgers? I love the Dodgers, man.
That's awesome, man. I remember, so I came from the door-to-door industry before I got into sales, like into wholesaling. And I remember this one guy, this isn't when I was selling in Indiana. I was in the middle of like this small town in Indiana. And this guy, he lets me in. I was selling Dish Network, like satellite TV. And this guy had Comcast cable. So he lets me in. I'm talking to him. And this guy's got a giant German Shepherd, bro, like giant, scary. And this thing is just snarling at me. It's like growling at me. And like, I was pretty naive. And I was like, this dog ain't going to do nothing. I didn't even think about this dog. So I'm sitting there trying to pitch this guy. And this dog the whole time is like right here, just like growling at me, bro. And I'm not even thinking about the dog because I'm trying to get that sale.
Yeah, indeed.
And the dog's just like growling and sometimes barks. And the guy's like, don't worry, he won't touch you. But now that I'm like older, I was like, I would never go in there, bro. I would never have done that because that dog just could have snapped and bit my face, and I
At
would be
any
done.
time.
But when you're in the zone trying to get that money, you're like, oh no, I'm cool, I'm invincible. So it was just funny.
Yeah,
Dude.
you
Like,
do what it takes, man. You do what it takes, 100%.
you do what it takes. When that, the seller wants you to see their house and it's in a mess, sometimes you just you stick in there and you're like, all right, let's do it, but
Indeed.
after you're like, I don't know if I should have done that might have been a little too much.
100%. And guys, the way that my model works, I haven't been inside of a property in quite some time. It's because my model is mainly virtual. Even if we are here locally, we still operate it virtually. We still do it virtually.
Dude, so important. The virtual model is so important because sometimes I'll have a deal right here in Utah, and it'll be like the person might be a 10-minute drive, and I won't even want to go drive because
Exactly.
like we've built that rapport over the phone. I can Zoom call them. And even though we're talking about going in person is great, if you develop that skill set where you don't even have to, and they know, hey, you can go see them anytime you're available. Hey, why drive 10 extra minutes, right?
Exactly. Why do it?
Sean, do you feel like people that are wanting to get into virtual that are watching this or will watch it, do you feel like it's just something that like clicks? Like how do you feel like you can get into that?
Yeah, guys, virtual, the way that I want you to think about it is think about this. If you're trying to run a business, even if it's local, if you're having to go out, like we're saying, to each and every appointment, and you're spinning your wheels, you're not going out just to close deals. We're not saying that you're going out to close a deal on all these appointments. You're going out there just to develop rapport, just to see where things are at. You're going to spend a lot of time on the road. You're going to spend a lot of time being a road, I don't know what, someone who's on the road a lot.
Road warrior. I don't know what they call
road
it.
warrior. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of the name. But guys, you got to figure out how to scale your business you got to be thinking about that from the beginning. How can I scale this and make this a true business versus something I do as a hobby on the weekend or after work sometimes? And that will be the after work or, on the weekend approach. But if you're thinking about making this a true business, think about it from the beginning, guys, and set it up that way. Which means you can't be going out to every appointment. That's not conducive for your business to grow. If you have team members that that's not serving your team, that's not the best usage of your time going out there.
Bro, that is so true. I remember when I first started, and I know everyone can probably, relate to this. I would just go and look at houses. I would just go to the house just to see the condition. Like it really mattered that much. Like I'd have a seller that was like a vacant property, and the seller, hey, go look at the house first before you make the offer. I'd drive on there. I'd where's the key? Get the key, go inside, look at it, and like, this thing does suck. And then I'd be done. And it was like, what was the point? Absolutely no point, right? So if you ever have a seller that you're talking to, guys, it's a vacant property, or even if they want you to see the house, Sean, tell us a good rebuttal or a way to overcome that objection. If they're like, hey, you haven't even seen the house, how are you going to make an offer? What would you say to that?
Hey, Jesse, man, that's awesome. I know that you want me to see the house, but brother, I do a lot of these a month. If I were out there looking at every house, I would not be able to run a business. So the way that our model works is we want to make sure that it makes sense for us first. Let's get it under contract, and let's utilize our inspection period for us to go out there and look at it deeper. We've seen what we need to see. We've got pictures. I had someone drive by, so we've got a great understanding right now.
Dang, you just ripped that right out, huh? That was
100%.
Good. See,
Absolutely.
that's repetition, right? And that's
repetition.
That's the exact answer. That's the exact answer. And what is the response to that mainly, Sean? It's okay.
usually okay.
Makes sense to me. I wouldn't just go look at every house either.
Indeed. Yeah. When you make it make sense for them, that's all. It's showing that you're an authority in this space. It's showing that you know what you're doing and that you know what you're talking about. And it allows people to be able to trust you. Because again, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. That's a part of developing that.
Yeah, and you address that concern head on. You don't try to go around it and just
you don't wiggle around it.
Don't wiggle. Just address it head on. Hey, I totally get where you're coming from, but this is how we work, and hopefully it works for you. And 99%. I don't think I've ever had a problem. And if it has been, it's been like maybe someone that was going to be extremely difficult to work with anyway, that I don't even like, they don't even have an email.
Yeah, that kind of situation. Someone who may be a little older and they might be a little rigid or a little firmer. No, I've got to shake hands with you. I only do business with people I shake hands with. You're going to come across those. Yes. Those would be here and there.
And those are difficult because it's like, all right, sir, well, if I shake your hand, do we have a deal?
Exactly, right?
And he's like, well, I don't know you. I gotta look you in the eye. And then you got to
Exactly.
decide if you even want to mess with that, because that dude
100%.
might be a tire kicker that's been trying to sell his house for the last 10 years.
Yep. Yep.
Well, Sean, it's been awesome, man. Chatting up with you about the VA service, having Jackie on, talking about the deals that we're doing, and how to find buyers in the process. I want to know before we head out, do you have any advice? Do you have anything you want to leave Batch Leads Nation with? Do you have anything you want to add?
Well, guys, go out there and take massive imperfect action. I'm sure you've heard Nathan say that before. We come from the same school, so you're going to hear that from us. Take massive imperfect action, guys,
Right.
And remember that discipline is far more important than motivation. You're not going to be motivated every day to get up and do the things that are necessary to get you to your goals. But if you have discipline, through that repetition, you will build a momentum, and you will see results. So stay consistent. Consistency builds momentum. Momentum will get you to results, guys. And if you want to reach me, guys, if you need a VA, hit me up, reiworldsolutions.com. I'll take care of it. If you let me know that Nathan, that you saw me here on Nathan's show, I'll be sure to take great care of you guys.
So let's hear that again.
reiworldsolutions.com.
reiworldsolutions.com. Let them know I sent you. And Sean, we're going to definitely have you back. I hope you had a good time, brother.
Man, I loved it, man. I always have fun with you, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And hey, one last thing I want to say is, dude, I love what you said about discipline, because, dude, I'll be real. Today I woke up motivated. I felt great. Right now, I'm waning a little bit, bro. Like today, I know I got another full day ahead. We're going to get off this call. I know I got stuff to do. And I know my motivation, if I just relied on motivation, I'd probably be like, yeah, I'm going to go take a nap, or I'm going to go do something else. But it's the discipline. It's the fact that I know my routine, my schedule. I know what I have to do. That's going to keep me going all day, because that's what it does. That's what I've already made that discipline. I've already developed that habit to work hard. So, guys, it's so important that discipline is more important than motivation, because we've all been to those weekend seminars where you get fired up. They tell you can make $4 million in a year. And then after the seminar, you're like, I forgot what they said. And I don't know.
Exactly. You're driving home. You heard something on the radio. Everything shifts, and the excitement, the motivation has, like you say, it's gone away a little bit. It's dissipated.
100%. Well, guys, Batch Leads Nation, this has been Investor Thrive Live. And by the way, guys, I have a masterclass going on tomorrow, and you can all register for free at investorthrive.com. I teach you guys how to use Batch. I teach you a little bit about, how to get going if you're brand new, how to build a wholesaling business. We've kind of gone over this a little bit in this call, but if you want to check it out, I invite everyone to come. Sean, you came on last week, but I appreciate you being there and supporting, and
100%.
that's what it's all about, guys. We're here to support each other. We're all in the same game. Don't look at each other as competition. We're all here to help each other do deals. We can all do deals together. And if we all succeed, we all succeed together. All right.
Absolutely.
Peace out, Sean. Thanks for coming.
Peace. Brother. Thank you, brother.
Yep. All right.